Computer, here we go. There we go. Hello and welcome to this webinar, Fit for the Future, how to build the strategic capability of your team. My name is Zoe Rao. I am your friendly neighborhood leadership futurist. And if you're wondering about the accent because you haven't met me before, and this is our first date, how exciting. It is Canadian. That's right. I am from the land of lakes, rivers, and maple syrup, a place where our current Prime Minister wears Star Wars socks. Our national pastime is ice hockey. And the other pastime is trying to prove that we are different to Americans. All right, so there is lots to get through today. So settle in, relax, take it easy. It is being recorded, so you will play it back. Use the chat box to ask each other questions, to share resources as well. If you have a question for me, I will not be able to see it in the chat box because I will be delivering to the camera to you. So if you have a burning question that needs to be answered now, please unmute yourself and ask it as we go along. If it doesn't need to be answered immediately, please put it in the chat box and I will get to it at the end of the session, either while we're still in session or afterwards. I will check through the script and make sure that every question that is answered, every question that is there will be answered, and I'll put that in the follow-up email for you. So we had an enormous response to this particular topic, and I was quite blown away with it. I actually had to increase my Zoom account to be able to host all the people who signed up for this webinar. A special welcome to the people from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. There was a huge swathe of people who logged on and signed up for this program here. So hello to all of you. Nice to have you here. Why is this topic so exciting? I don't know, is it exciting? Anyway, of interest to people. And I think there's a number of things going on. There's a lot going on, and we're going to cover a lot of that today. The other thing I think why this topic is of particular interest is because we actually need lots of strategic thinking in order to navigate this territory, which is turbulent and exciting and terrifying at the same time. We don't know which direction it's going to go in. And why do leaders find that it's difficult to build the strategic capability of their teams? I think there's a number of different factors that play into that as well. Some of the factors that you may be familiar with are everything is urgent and important now. So we have these burning fires that take up all of our attention. So the ability to put those out, or at least tame them a little bit, so we can focus on far horizons is one of the perennial challenges of leadership. We have that challenge. We have the challenge of people operating in silos, so just putting their heads down and dealing with what's in front of them. I think that's a particular pernicious issue as well. The other issue that we have is that there may be a little bit of competitive tension on the teams where people are just trying to get ahead in their own world and are jostling for accolades, for approval, etc. in their team. So if you notice, a lot of these issues are more about interpersonal relationships, and I think absolutely these are factors that are playing into the interest on this topic. What I would also like to do at this point is point out that I am dialing in from Ngunnawal and Ngambri country here in Canberra. It's a beautiful Thursday, and I want to pay my respects to the traditional custodians of this land. I have so much admiration for the long living history of their cultural heritage and care for this land. And I'm very grateful to be a blow-in from Canada and make this my part of the world, my home as well. Also, happy Star Wars Day. I forgot to mention that. It's May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. And we will talk a little bit about Star Wars down the track. So for all you diehard 70s kids, the Gen Xers amongst you, and even you might be a bit younger and like Star Wars. And even if you don't like Star Wars, it's okay. We'll move on from that. Cameras off, use the chat box. Oh, at the end, there's a lot of content, so I'll stay on the call at the end if you want to have a personal conversation with me, well, with whoever else is staying on, and you want to raise questions or share something, that's fine. I've got some time afterwards. So, but I will be finishing at 10 to honor your time commitments. Okay, that's all the preamble. Let me see. Yeah. So some of the other challenges of why we don't get into strategic thinking is often the leadership maturity of our participants, meaning that we don't always have the ability to see and navigate complexity. And as leaders helping grow our teams, we need to help nurture that. We need to help people see the broader picture. And a lot of what we're going to dive in today is actually sharing what is going on. So one of your key responsibilities in building capability across your team is having a look at the landscape and sharing that with your team, or getting them to look at the landscape. So we are going on a journey today. Yeah, we're going on a journey to the big picture, seeing what's going on. And then throughout the course of today, I will give you very specific takeaway tips that you can action with your particular team. So we're going to go big picture as well as nitty-gritty, task-oriented takeaways for you. So stay with me as we go through the first half, because there is a lot of big picture stuff. And then we'll get to brass tacks at the end. There'll be plenty of things that you can do on your own. So do-it-yourself suggestions will be on the table. And at the end, if you want some done with you help, I will show you how we can do that as well. So buckle up, we're going on a wild ride. One of the key principles to keep in mind is that we've got to imagine, take myself out of there for the shot, here we go. We've got to imagine the future in order to create it. What does that mean? When it comes to future technologies, and one of the, Amit put it in the chat box, could it be good? Could it be evil? Which way do we trend? And largely as humans, we tend to go the danger route. You know, this new emerging technology, sound the alarm bells, and that serves us well. That keeps us from going down a track that could upend us unexpectedly. So we are hardwired for threat, and we need to mitigate and manage it. And where we often fall short is being able to look at the future possibilities and move towards the good side of things. So a lot of what I'm going to cover today is going to be looking on the good side of things and how we can leverage that. There's plenty of rock throwing that's already happening on some of these emerging trends that I don't need necessarily to expound on, because you probably already have the same concerns. Let's look at the possibilities and the potentials. And that's where the leadership opportunity is. And that's how we can start to grow the leadership capability of our teams, by looking at what's happening and what is the advantage we can leverage off that. What are the opportunities here? So we've got to imagine the future first. This is me on top of Mount Sonder, or Ruhupma, I think that's how you pronounce it, in Aranda country, just outside of Alice Springs on the Larapinta Trail. Why am I airing my armpits for your benefit? It's to showcase the fact that is my background. I love big views with big insights. I take people out on wilderness programs. That's been my background ever since I was 17 years old, in Canada, leading canoe trips. And then here in Australia, working for Outward Bound Australia for 9 years. And then with the Rural Leadership Foundation. I believe that when we get out into nature, and the science backs this up, we can actually see more. With big views come big insights. And all the history I've had in working with different groups in the wilderness and in boardrooms and in the classroom has shown me that it's often the people stuff that gets in the way of us being able to see clearly, whether it's see clearly what's going on now or see clearly into the future, see strategically. These are some of the businesses that I've worked with over the years, such a huge diverse range of industries, from agriculture to higher education, to not-for-profits, to professional services firms. And all of them struggle with strategic thinking. And one of the big mistakes I see is they think strategic thinking, it's just about the thinking. Yes, it's definitely about the thinking, and it's also about the people. So a lot of what I'm going to share in terms of what you need to build strategic capability, we need to address the people stuff first. So let's get into that. I want to share the core mantra, how do you say it in Australian? Mantra of what you need to remember if you, from the big picture, embed strategic thinking capability in your team. And it goes like this: explore. You need an explorer's mindset. The next thing is map. Need to map the various territories. I'm going to give you 3 specific maps you can use today. And the third thing is adapt. Explore, map, adapt. It's a little dance. Do it with me now. Explore, map, adapt. Now your cameras aren't on, so no one can tell that you're dancing, but you can try it. Explore, map, adapt. Explore, map, adapt. If you remember this mantra, it will help you, anchor you in terms of what you could be doing to help build the strategic capability of your team. So when it comes to explore, that means understanding what the heck is going on. And we're going to be doing a lot of exploring today in our session. The other thing to keep in mind is, as with an explorer mindset, we've always had it embedded in us as a species. We left Africa because we needed to for survival. We needed to find other places to live and grow as a species. And then we left Europe in search of riches. So we left Europe in search of riches as a species. And we left Europe also because we were sent. This was punishment. And this was a tragedy for the receiving end of a lot of the countries. So those of us who have European history are on that side of the fence. And then there was other humans across the world who were on the receiving end of that. In any case, we had this exploration mindset, whether it was for good or evil intent. I don't think it was always for evil intent, always a benefit in mind. The side effects were often evil. In the 60s, we went to the moon and to space. Why? Because we could and because we wanted to. There was also lots of side benefits from that. A lot of emerging technologies helped our species on day-to-day living, etc. And now we've got the itch again to go into space, which is very exciting. As a science fiction writer, I also write leadership books, but also science fiction. This curiosity mindset is what we need to nurture in ourselves and the people around us. We need this sense of adventure to lean into some of these new things. And we also, in order to keep us away from evil intent, have a sense of contribution. So with the explorer mindset, we really need to cultivate this in ourselves and the people around us. So what can we be curious about? And having through the filter of, in order to make a contribution, is the critical factor here. In terms of mapping, there's two things that we're going to map: problems and possibilities. And when we map problems and possibilities, it allows us to have a balanced approach. So not to, throw ourselves into the wind and take us wherever the wind may blow, and that may be good, that may be bad. We also need to contend with the things that are a little bit dangerous and to monitor that. Okay, and the third thing is about adapting. How shall we adapt? There's 3 qualities that we're going to talk about a little bit later to help us be adaptable. We need to practice being adaptable. It's a characteristic that we need to embed, because I think all of us have been slapped with changes in our work and lives probably that were like, it's going to take a lot of effort and energy and time in order to embrace this new change. Some of them we went willingly into the fray. It's like, woohoo, smartphone, that's kind of fun. And other things probably less willing, like, oh my God, we have a new CRM or a financial administration system to integrate. And we just know it's going to slow us down while we learn it before we can speed up with it. So this idea about being adaptable is pretty critical. So try it out, do little things to help build this muscle, and encourage your team to do the same. Be adaptable by trying a new food, going to a new restaurant, parking your car in a different place when you go to the gym. I did this recently. In order to increase my ability to take more steps in the day, I parked about half a K away from the gym by the pool, which I have never visited in my neighborhood. Yeah, so 27 years of being in Canberra, I'd never been to this pool before. Oh my goodness, how was my adaptability factor? Pretty small. So start by inching out and try new things like that. Explore, map, adapt is your mantra. So let's get into looking at what some of the things are going on around us. And the big question for you is, how well can you see what is going on? The first thing that we need to be aware of in terms of meta trends is power. Yes, this image was generated by Midjourney. So if you had a chance to look at the preview videos on how to use Midjourney, the images are incredible. And a lot of the images in this presentation are from Midjourney. Where they're not, I will tell you about them. So what is going on with power? Very interesting news is from think tank Ember, E-M-B-E-R, and their research from 93 countries around the world. So let me just check that I've got my data right. No, 78 countries. So they looked at 93% of the global use of energy. They have discovered that 12% is now solar and wind. Now, 12% sounds like not very much. And the additional piece of research they discovered is that fossil fuel use in energy is now cresting and dropping off as a result of the rising trend in renewables. This is huge. 2023 is going to be the maximum use of fossil fuels, and then it will drop away. We are at the tipping point. Finally, it's taken forever. So what does this mean for us? Is that power, hopefully, will get cheaper and more accessible for us. I think there's going to be a lag. It's not going to happen tomorrow. And yet, this is the future direction we're going into. Now, even more cool, check this out. This is the Lightyear. Dun, 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 dun. It is a solar-powered car. On the roof of this car are solar panels. It is a self-charging car. You can drive for 800 kilometers and not have to charge yourself up. And that is pretty amazing. They don't have a huge manufacturing. They're only producing about 500 cars a year. Elon, why don't you have this technology on your cars is the big question. And what is this showing to us? It's showing that from this big idea of renewable, free, accessible energy, we will move from being consumers to contributors. We will be able to personally generate our own energy requirements, whether it's for travel, whether it's for our home. Thank you, we already have solar panels there. And we will be able to localize our energy use and consumption, unhinging or unhitching our reliance on centralized systems. So the meta trend here is decentralization, as well as distributed access to power. This is bonkers important because it will reduce the production of so many things, from transport to food production to anything that requires power use. And it will decouple the social power from manufacturing of power. Blink, 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 this is huge. Okay, so that is one meta trend that we need to stay on top of as leaders to help in order to be strategic in our thinking, right? So we need to understand, explore what's going on in our territory. So let's have a look at the next big trend. And this is sensors, smart data. There's data coming in from everywhere. We know that, right? So from whether it's wearable technology like my Aura ring, I know a couple of you have those, tracking your sleep data, etc. That's just the personal data. There is data being accessed and consolidated and processed everywhere. Smart cities is one. This is a really interesting trend. Smart cities like Singapore in 2014, almost 10 years ago, Singapore declared it would be a smart city, meaning they would put sensors on all of its public utility spaces in order to generate data to operate more effectively as a city, more efficiently, so that it can distribute human-powered resources as well as technical resources in a more efficient way. Example, they have sensors in public places to indicate when people are smoking illegally. Sounds a bit big brother, right? They're concerned about the health of their citizenship. And now they have data about where people are smoking. And they can then make decisions about what policy and procedures can we do in order to reduce that or eliminate it. Another sensor they have, imported in a place like Singapore, is sensors that show when litter is coming off tall buildings. You can imagine in a small island state like Singapore, having stuff being thrown out of skyscrapers is probably a big hazard. So in Singapore, even the litter bugs can't sweep their bad habit under the carpet because there's probably a sensor there. So Barcelona is another smart city, and they have sensors in parking sensors, so showing where there are free car parks, so you can optimize where you're going to go and park. We've seen that in some of the shopping malls around there, the light, red light, green light, indicating where there's a free space. So it makes your life a little bit easier, hopefully, so you can just go into a free spot more quickly. They have street light sensors, so instead of having the street lights on all the time, they pick up when there is a person or a vehicle passing by and light up. So it saves energy. The other kind of sensors they have are garbage sensors. So in their public garbage receptacles, there's sensors weighing how full is that garbage collection item. So instead of just doing a regular Wednesday and Friday trip, emptying empty bins, they go, right, today we only need to go to this spot to collect the rubbish. and they can optimize their vehicle and human use in order to meet their needs. So cool, right? This will save us a lot of money. In fact, in 2021, smart cities will have saved, the data says, $15 billion. $15 billion. This is very exciting. So how are we incorporating sensors into our personal worlds and our professional worlds? And how can we use that data to better optimize our human and machine use, say, for example? I love this, you know, in Barcelona, it's like, this is actually, I asked, okay, confessions. I put this into ChatGPT and I said, here's the information from Barcelona. Can you make a joke about this? So you can evaluate the ChatGPT joke version of this. And he said, at this rate, Barcelona is like saying, turn off the lights, park the car, take out the trash. And oh, by the way, we just saved enough money to buy a small country. Not bad, ChatGPT, but no rivalry for Seinfeld, I don't think. Okay, next mega trend or meta trend, blockchain. And I think this is the meta trend that most leaders not really aware of or can see the real implications for at this stage. It's still kind of like a frontier type of technology. And some of the big headlines don't help with that. You know, crypto bros, you know, buying cryptocurrency, the rise and fall of crypto is one of the things that we contend with. So what is blockchain is probably the big question. And we need to know this in order to help build strategic capability. Blockchain is built on the web, and there's an iteration of the web. Web 1, when it first emerged, was we could read stuff. Web 2 was a massive breakthrough where we could read stuff and write things back. We could have a conversation digitally through the screen. Such was the eruption of social media, blogging, etc. Web 3 is we can read, we can write, and we can own part of that. This is really cool. So blockchain technology, and the reason that I put Lego in that screenshot here is when I asked ChatGPT to explain blockchain like to a 4-year-old, it came back with this. Imagine that you were building a tower made out of Lego. Everybody can see the tower, and you can put your piece into the tower to add to the construction of the tower. And once it's there and verified that you have actually put that block in place, it stays permanently locked in. You can't take the Lego piece out again. So everybody can see that this piece is there and it's immovable. So these are the two qualities of blockchain. It's transparent, everybody can see it. And 2, it's immutable. It can't get changed afterwards. This is what the blockchain technology is. It is transactions made on the web, whether that's an information transaction or it's a financial transaction, both are treated the same, really. So that once it's happened and verified, everyone can see it. They can't see who did it necessarily, but they can see that it happened and it cannot be changed. Now, and so you say, what this enables is a whole bunch of other things built on top of that. We can actually send money to another person without using a middleman. And that's caused the rise of cryptocurrency and electronic wallets, etc. It means I can send you some crypto and it'll go from me to you in your wallet. People can see that a transaction has occurred. So if I'm selling something to you, they're like, oh, there's the value of that. This is the amount that was made, and etc. And it's recorded, and there you go. We can't see who is the sender and receiver, but we can see that transaction happen. It allows for things like smart contracts. And smart contract is basically a digital agreement that gets posted on the blockchain. There's several different blockchains hosted. It's a distributed network, so it's not one server. And that's why one of the reasons why it's immutable and transparent as well. It's not just controlled by a central location. Smart contracts say, this is the arrangement we have in place to manage these particular resources. And it says, once this thing happens, A, B, C, and D transactions will happen. So it's automated. And we can use this for agreements for people who want to come together and collaborate on the web, which is very cool, which will give rise to a whole bunch of different technologies and institutions like a DAO, which I'll come to talk about in just a minute, which is a distributed autonomous organization, a DAO. That means that people, actually, I'll talk about it now. People can come together for a particular purpose, whether it's they want to pool their resources and fund a new business. And that could be a financial investment DAO. That means that people can have an agreement of how they're going to use their collective funds and how it will be distributed. And they use tokens to vote on that. This is kind of like a co-op backed up by immutable technology, transparent, immutable technology. This is massive. This will transform commerce in the way that we operate in a big way. It's just kind of emerging right now. Not many people know about it or use it. So we have financial type of DAOs. We also have commercial DAOs, so you can run collective businesses on this platform. I'll just pull up my example of that. Here we go. This is Elite. It's a DAO operating on the Ethereum blockchain. It's a company that is built for gamers, and they have a membership that you can buy with traditional currency, and that gives you a token. A token is an electronic ticket that allows you to do particular things in the company. You can also purchase real life stuff like these fabulous gaming hoodies that are listed on their website. So this is a really interesting type of organization. So it's a collective, a co-op, if you like, and they use blockchain to make their transactions and to operate in that way, in a transparent, collective way. And they're making money and funding their resources collectively. Sounds like communism, but not. It's still commercial. Scratch that. It's a collective. Here's another one. This is a social DAO. This one is called Friends with Benefits. Not those kinds of benefits. It's where creators and makers have come together in order to pool resources, share ideas, build on each other's work, etc. You can buy their particular crypto and token to be part of the community. When you do certain things in the community, you earn more tokens, which is kind of like their own specific currency, which allows you access to different things like events that they run, etc. So here's another example of a social collective built on the blockchain so that things are transparent and mutable. So any of the decisions are logged there, etc. So cool, right? This can transform how we come together as humans to do stuff because, so they say, it eliminates the need for trust. Why? Because everything is transparent and it can't be changed on the blockchain, which I think is really interesting. Now, from a personal point of view and a leadership point of view, I'm like, these DAOs are still run by like a small cohort of people. So there needs to be a coordinating humans as part of this. It's not like we get rid of the humans. They're still part of it. And that comes along with all the traditional leadership challenges that would come with leading a group. Personality issues, differences, you have a slacker, etc. So the DAOs can help eliminate some of that by having smart contracts. If you fail to deliver, then this X things happen. The personal dynamics, the human dynamics will still be in there though. The other interesting technology that is built on this, and I'm going to deep dive in this because I think there's so much potential for us from a helping our people think strategically point of view, there's so many opportunities, are NFTs. And you might have heard this in the news over the last couple of years. What is an NFT? It's a non-fungible token. What does that mean? It means that there's one of a kind. Like going to a concert, you get your ticket that says, I have a seat here in row 10, seat number A. Nobody else can sit there because my body will be parked there. So it's one of a kind. And we can resell that ticket to other people for more money if we wish to, but there's one of a kind. That's what an NFT is. It's kind of like a digital one of a kind certificate or item. And some of them have been created in terms of their inherent beauty. And some of them are used to represent a whole system or ecosystem of benefits. Example, here we go. We've got the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. And this is a sample of a few that were made. 10,000 were made algorithmically generated. These are all unique little apes, and they were created by Yuga Labs. Why should you care? And why should anybody pay money for this? Well, let me tell you, first of all, what money they paid for this. They have raised a ton of money by selling these things. $850,000 were donated on the proceeds of the sale of these NFTs to orangutan outreach. And a set of 101 Bored Ape NFTs was auctioned off at Sotheby's for $24.4 million. Really? What the? So how do people like a little cartoon of an ape? It's what it represents. It allows you membership to the Board Yacht Ape Club, which are interested in orangutans and animal conservation principles. So it's a whole movement behind it. And having these NFTs is kind of like your ticket to show that you are part of that club. So being part of a club, being part of a movement, being part of a community is the people stuff that is being built on top of these technologies or in conjunction with these technologies. So these human needs of belonging, contribution are really core essential. Now, here's another example. You might have seen these recently. Yes, the Trump NFTs. 45,000 NFTs were published by the Polygon on the Polygon blockchain, sold for $99 each. They sold out. 45,000 of them sold out in 12 hours. And so they made $4.45 million. They are now reselling for $650 each. Yeah, why? Well, lots you can say about that. One of the other things that came with this particular NFT was the opportunity to go into a sweepstake to earn prizes. So your NFT allowed you to go into the pool to earn to win a dinner with Trump, going to a Trump event, getting some Trump swag. So it was kind of used like a raffle ticket, if you like. There you go. A new way to do commerce and to build community based on the blockchain. Okay, so that was a big trend. That was trend number 3, actually. So let's have a look at the next one, which is robots. Robots, very cool robots. Automation, there's different type of robots happening. This is a robot that prints bricks, and we have 3D printing of houses as well. And we have one robot that's working in Medicare called, not Medicare, in a medical environment. This is called Moxie. Moxie. It's made by Diligent Robotics. It's an aid to nurses. Will not interact with patients. I mean, why? I can't see why. It's got his love hearts and this thing that looks like a crossbow. So here you go. Here's your medicine. Let me shoot you in the butt with my crossbow. So it's just your regular cyber stalker. That was a human-made joke. So Moxie and other robots like that, whether they're kind of humanoid-y, automation is a big thing. And we see bots all the time, whether if you've been on any sort of chat box bot, that's a bot. It's also an AI-powered bot. So those two things are coming together. It's meant to increase efficiency and automation to take us into have more time to do more important tasks. So in the medical center, the Moxie was sent to go and fetch and carry medicines and to do that kind of behind the scenes work, which takes away from the nurse actually being with the patient. And no, they don't send it in to scare the patients. Though I did see a bot like this, not a medical one, when I was visiting my sister in New Jersey, going through the supermarket, and all of a sudden there was this big 7-foot pillar of a machine rolling down the aisle. I'm like, it scared the out of me. And I'm like, what is that? And it was basically an automated robot doing stock take across the aisles. There you go. Westfield, New Jersey, the bots are there already. And it stopped when it came up in front of me, thank goodness. So good programming in its bots. All right, so I'm almost finished these trends. And then we're going to drill down in terms of how you can use this to help your people think more strategically. Just sharing this with them is a step in the right direction to explore a mindset. The next trend is AI. And this image was created with Midjourney. Awesome. Artificial intelligence is massive in the news right now. ChatGPT and all these other platforms that are exploding that are being built on this language-based, generative language-based AI models. And there's so much you can say about this. They say the research is showing that the cost to train AI systems, whether it's your online chat box or some of these new apps that are coming out based on ChatGPT, has reduced by 99.5% in the last 5 years. So 5 years ago, it was almost 100% more expensive. The cost of developing them has plummeted, which means that we are getting very fast and very close to having our own AI-generated robot helper. And certainly, if you played around on ChatGPT, it is like that. I have ChatGPT open, and I use it for sounding ideas and for checking things and for asking questions that would take me ages to research. Like, just go, can you tell me about blah? And There he goes, an answer in 3 seconds. Also creative. Have a look at this. I said, ChatGPT, can you write a haiku about blockchain? This is what it came back in 30 seconds. Blocks linked in a chain, decentralized, secure, strong, blockchain stands steadfast. Shakespeare, it is not. How long would it have taken a human to write that? Probably a long time. So will chatbots replace human creativity? No, they will work hand in hand with humans because that's okay, but it's not fantastic. We can build on it. So AI is going to be massive, and there has been massive investment in AI as well. In 2021, corporations invested $160 billion in AI. That's huge. All right. And this one from Microsoft, they've got a new app coming out called Val-E, not DALL-E, that's its image generator. This is Val-E. And it can clone your voice in just 3 seconds of audio. So instead of listening to a whole webinar with me, 3 seconds, and it can clone my voice pretty accurately. This is both terrifying and exciting. So which way are you going to go? You know, the opportunity to produce more content and to reach out to more people using these technologies is going to accelerate. And yes, we will have trouble figuring out what's real and what's not. And this is where guardrails and regulation for AI needs to come into place pretty good. So with your AI bots, you can say goodbye to process work, hello to creativity, which is one of the most important things we can start to develop. Here's another AI resource that is important. This image is not created by Midjourney, it's taken off the web. And this is social scoring. And this was in Changi Airport at the toilets. You've seen these particulating. Rate how we did. Please rate our toilet. Why is this important? Well, first of all, they've got the picture of the person cleaning there. So it's a reminder that humans are still doing this particular work. And it will encourage us to be more thoughtful, perhaps, in giving our feedback. And it also increases accountability. So what does this mean? This is a leadership question, and this is how you start to build capability in your team by asking these questions. What does this mean? It means that we can get data on a whole range of different things, process it, analyze it, and optimize it. That's the promise of AI. So with more data, better analysis, smarter decisions, that's the promise, potentially. And the last, the last meta trend that you can help explore the horizon with your team is this, impact. ESG is huge. Now thank you, you've just muted yourself, awesome. ESG, environment, social, governance, transparency, and impact. Interesting things have happened out there with that. There's more of a concern, you know, this triple bottom line idea has been around for a while, but it's seen as tokenistic. It needs to be integrated into the fabric of our operations as leaders. So if this is not currently happening in your organization, it's high time for it to actually happen. The research is clear. When you do good, you make more money. For example, Boston Consulting Group showed that the margins for organizations that embed strong social conscious environmental practices have margins of 12.4% higher than others. So even if you don't really care about the environment or the society, it pains me to say that, it doesn't matter, your bottom line will benefit. So I'll take your bottom line benefit if it means we're impacting the world. And this is the thing, these technologies, the meta trends are transparency, distributed work, and decentralized work. And we've been navigating that for some time. All this means that people can have more power. They have more power to be independent, more power to make decisions, and more insight into what's going on. And that causes great concern if they see inequities and inequalities. There's nothing like seeing injustice to motivate people to rebellion. And so there is a calling for us to do better as leaders and do better as businesses. These trends are making us lead differently. So what is the impact that we're seeing? We are going perhaps to a world like this, that is abundant, equitable, and regenerative, meaning there is more for all of us benefit living on a healthy planet for generations to come. This image was generated with Midjourney. It's beautiful. So there is huge opportunity, and I would like to share some of the resources that I've used in looking at across all this. And I know some of you are interested in the research. These are 5 amazing books: Gen Tech, Future Normal, What's Our Problem, Technosocialism, and What Could Go Wrong. And all these point in similar directions. There's huge opportunity, and these trends, transparency, decentralization, and distributed work, is going to have a major impact. So how do we make sense of that? So what does this mean for the world, workforce, and workplace? There's 4 major shifts that we need to make. So here is how you can help your teams become more strategic, is by looking at these shifts and seeing how can we nudge people along the way. The first shift is going from, in business, from extraction to regeneration. It's part of the ESG ecology. So we question why more. So I was speaking to a leader recently, and he said, we're a $500 million business. We want to become a $1 billion business. He's just becoming the new CEO. He's all excited about it. I'm like, why? And he went, my gut tells me that it's a good thing to do. I'm like, you're not selling that to anyone. So the whole adage, why, is really important. More for more sake is what got us into a whole bundle of trouble in terms of extracting resources out of the planet willy-nilly. So we cannot do that any further. And work like Deborah Rayworth's book, Donut Economics, talks to that a little bit. We need to work within ecological planetary ceilings, so we don't take more than we can regenerate in our planet. And this is the important part, we look after the humans and the animals and the plants as well, so that we have, instead of going from more, we go to all. So our concern this is actually a big value shift, is not just for more, it's for how do we look after of all of us. And this is a big strategic thinking leadership leap that we need to make. So that's your first big picture shift that you need to make. In the world of work is going to be moving away from just knowledge-based workers to experienced designers, meaning a lot of the knowledge process stuff will be done by AI and robots. And so that we can focus on what kind of experience are we offering our clients and what kind of experience we offering our staff. Designing that, thinking strategically about that, is how we start to build capability. The next shift is in the workplace. And we've seen this through COVID, right? Headquarters used to be the thing. We've got this big building, everybody comes into work, does the work, goes home. And whole city infrastructures are built around that. COVID happened, and we went, a whole bunch of us went, I can work from anywhere else. I don't need to travel long distances. I can work from my home, etc. So workplaces are still wrestling with this. And I think from a strategic thinking capability, we can start to help people think about workplaces in a different way. Instead of being headquarters, let's make them hubs, social hubs, a meaningful place to come into and engage with others. And some businesses are actually thinking it as clubs, hubs and clubs, if you like, meaning that when they come together, it's an enjoyable experience, a meaningful experience. It's a fun, collaborative place to be, instead of just coming to the office because it's easier for me as a leader to supervise you. That's true, and lazy. So yeah, it's so much easier to build culture, etc., when people are based together. Forcing them to commute every day for that is a trade-off, and the trade-off is not paying off because of the world that we've changed. All the technology is enabling something different. So rethink headquarters to hubs. And the last shift is in the workforce. We're going to go from doers, people executing on tasks, to big one here, creators. So in terms of building the capability, strategic capability of your team, you need to build all of these shifts into place. So I said at the beginning, these are all big picture stuff before we get into nitty gritty. We're going nitty gritty now, so let's get into it. So in order to build the strategic capability of your team, you need this first thing, creativity. Mention that. We're going from doers to creators. Yes, this image was created by Midjourney. The next thing we need is collaborative. We need collaborative skills. And the third thing is compassion. Creative, collaborative, and compassionate. That's what we need. So let's talk about the maps that you need in order to start generating those. So we've gone from explore, have our minds tumbled around with what's happening out there. Map is where we're up to now. Map. There's 3 types of maps, and we start with the people maps first. Like I said at the beginning, what gets in the way of strategic thinking is the people stuff. So the first map is a personal map. Let me just show you this model here for you. So on the left-hand side, we build compassion, then collaboration, then creativity. And what happens on the pink triangle is we develop trust, engagement, and innovation. Notice how the strategic idea thing is last. So we start with personal maps, then team maps, then idea maps. Personal maps, building your compassion. Here is a simple do-it-yourself takeaway that you can act on today. And some of you have already experienced this perhaps. It's called do a skills matrix of your team. Yeah, start by doing that with your team. Explore what kinds of skills they have, not just in their job, but where they've come from previously, and maybe some skills outside of work. You will be astonished at the huge wealth of experience that exists in your team members that you had no idea about. Maybe your friend Susan actually is a knife maker. She knows how to weld and create things out of metal. Is that relevant to your workplace? Don't know. In the creator economy, when we're going from doers to creators, perhaps it is, because they may think differently about things. So go ahead and do a skills matrix. Now, the side benefit of this is that when we share our skills and expertise with our team members, it builds fast trust. And this is based on the work of George Carceres, who wrote Build Better Teams. And he talked about that first level of trust, same page trust, which is we're on the same page, we know what we're doing, and we know basically what each other is capable of. You'll be amazed how many teams do not know much about their colleagues and what they're capable of, missing out on that first level of trust. So do a skills matrix, find out what everybody has got in their toolkit in and out of the workplace, and build that first level of safety, psychological safety and trust in your workplace. That's the first map. The second one, team maps. Team maps. Okay, I'm going to teach you right now how to do a skill I learned. I was 17, so I'm going to do the math 35 years ago in my first fabulous job at summer camp. It's called a sociometry. Big word for a simple thing. And it will have huge breakthroughs when you're talking about developing team maps to build that sense of collaboration. All right. The way the team map is, you're going to draw out the dynamics of your team. So, talked about Star Wars, we're going to draw out the dynamics of the characters in Star Wars. Now, even if you've never seen the movies, doesn't matter. You can replace the crazy names with the people in your workplace. Okay. So, for example, not such a crazy name, we have Luke Skywalker. So what we do is we put Luke here. He's one of the characters on our team. And Luke meets Obi-Wan Kenobi, who dies shortly after. So how close is he to Luke? He's pretty close, but he's kind of off to the side a little bit, Obi-Wan. Then he meets, who does he meet after that? I'm trying to remember the actual story. Han Solo? Is Han Solo in there? Yeah, he's in there. And Han and Luke develop a pretty good relationship. So they're pretty good. Kind of like a brotherly type of thing, older brother, little brother. And Luke has a strong relationship with Obi-Wan. Who else? Chewie, the big hairy thing. He's good friends with Han. Really good friends. Really strong connection. And Chewie's kind of got a relationship with Luke, etc. Okay. And then we have Leia, of course, the amazing princess Leia. She develops a relationship with Luke and a very good relationship with Han eventually over the course of the movies. Okay, woo, bit of love situation like that. Yoda.
I'm just.
Hello. We'll just mute. Thank you, Beck. And we've got Yoda over here. And Yoda and Obi-Wan have a pretty good relationship in this, etc. So there's your starting point of your dynamics, of your sociometry. Do the same for your team. Draw out the relationships on your immediate team, or maybe between teams. What is the nature of that relationship? How close are people? How far away people? How isolated? How connected? Where's their friction? This will give you huge insight into, how effective is the ecosystem of our delivery team, say, for example. Maybe we need to work on some relationships and communication, some systems that will enable those relationships to be more effective. So that's your second map, team map. Your third one is your idea maps. And there are so many different techniques to draw out ideas. There's design thinking and creative thinking that can smash together and come up to this. One of the important maps that you can do to help you develop strategic thinking capability in your team is the systems map of your operations. So here is one I found that gives you an idea of what this looks like. Similar to the sociometry, you start to map out the flows of interactions in your business. Who does what, how they operate and interact, and how effective is that interaction. By putting a visual map on here, it shows where the hotspots are, where do people collide, where do they commune, and where are there opportunities to make that better and to reduce different particular problems. So that is super, super important. Developing a system map is an idea map. One of my other favorite tools, and this is a do-it-yourself one to help build strategic capability in your team, is to use a problem tree. Google it, plenty of intel on the internet that you can see for free. Here's an example of what that looks like. Here's a tree. Imagine there's a dotted line, that's the ground. Above the ground are all the visible issues that you see. Below the line is where all the roots are, the root causes. And when you draw this out, so you've got a particular issue that you've got in your business, you can do the above the line. What do you see as visible, tangible offshoots of that particular problem? And what could be some problems below the surface? I love doing problem trees. It is one of the most effective ways to help people think more systemically about what's going on in their world. So very, very useful. Two maps, systems map and problem tree maps. And there's a heap of others. Those are two that you can take away, put in your pocket, use with your team immediately to help develop their strategic thinking capability. All right, so we've gone through heaps of things. If you want more, there's some free stuff you can also get. Let's have a look at that. More free stuff. You can listen into my leadership podcast. We've got a strong focus on fit for the future content. I write a monthly newsletter. I have a free YouTube channel with different playlists on there. And of course, connect with me on socials. I'm highly active on all of these socials. So that is an opportunity to do free stuff. Yeah, learn for free. You can go to the next level. You can buy one of my books or all of my books. People Stuff is one that has a lot of the strategic thinking capability in it. Loyalty is about building strong, powerful teams. Moments is about the tough stuff in leadership. Composure is about developing your own personal resilience and leadership capability. And the Olympus Project, my first science fiction dystopian novel, is about taking the stories of leadership and applying them in a story world. And I'm writing more fiction, and there's more to come. So that's how you can nudge yourself forward. If you want to do it with you, go next level, do it yourself, you can get on to my Amplifiers Academy. This is self-paced online study. So some people are very good at autonomous self-learning. This is where you can take it all a little bit deeper. I'll put links to this, all this stuff in the follow-up email. So if I'm racing through, don't worry, we'll have it afterwards. Now, if you want to go even further, faster, build forward fast, do it with me, woohoo! I love doing strategic thinking training. And I love strategic planning facilitation. So that's working with teams to develop their strategy. I love immersive experiential programs. Yes, in the outdoors, if you like, or semi-outdoors, and doing awesome offsites. A few people who've worked with me have said, I get a huge value from Amplifiers. This is Jo Metcalf. She is the General Manager of Technical Services and the GHD Foundation Managing Director. So GHD is a global engineering company, and she's been part of Amplifiers for ages. We have the CEO of Woden Community Services, Jenny Kitchen. She says she loves my challenging and intellectually rigorous content. And this is the Executive Director, Graham Kruger of the Rice Growers Association. I did some strategy work with him and the board. And he said, I helped clarify strategic direction, improve communication strategies, and we deliver real results. Yay. Yep, satisfaction guarantee for you. If you're not satisfied with quality or value, then of course, I will refund your investment. So let's sum up. How to build strategic capability, practice, explore, map, adapt. Explore, map, adapt. Explore what the heck is going on. So build your capability by exploring what's on the horizon there. Map out problems and possibilities. So use a couple of the tools that I mentioned, the problem tree, the systems map, and adapt by building your creative, collaborative, and compassionate resources and abilities as a group. So what you can do right now is do one thing, review this, take a nugget, share something, do something with it. Leave a review on LinkedIn. If this is our first date and you're done, fabulous. Leave me a review. Tell me how I did on our first date. That would be fantastic. Or you can email me at zoe.com and we can have a chat about what is useful for you in terms of developing your strategic thinking capability. I made it 5 minutes to go, so I am happy to take comments and questions if you have some. So I'll give you a moment to think about that if you'd like to. If you have questions you want to put in the chat box, you can. The follow-up stuff I will send you is a list of where you can get my newsletter, my podcast, the YouTube channel. I've got a very quick checklist that you can use with your team about those creative, collaborative, compassionate skills and how you can work on those. And I think that's about it, really. So I want to thank you so much for showing up and being part of this and being interested in building strategic capability. It's one of my most favorite topics, and I love being in service to you and to your teams. And the more that we do this kind of work, the better leaders we have. And we have better leaders, we have a better world. And that's what I'm on a mission for. So without further ado, if you need to sign off and head off into your day, do so. Thank you so much. If you want to stick around for a conversation, you can. If you have any questions you want to email later, you can. Otherwise, happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. All right, I'm just hanging on and see if other people want to ask me any questions. I'm just reading the comments now. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hope I get to work with some of you, meet you in person, either the internet or in IRL, in real life. That would be awesome. Okay, looks like there are no questions here. All right. People are sticking around to see if there's more. You know, are you staying for the credits? I don't have any credits. I did promise to send out a copy of the Olympus Project to one lucky winner. Olympus Project, my big fat first fiction novel. If you prefer an audiobook, I'll email out. So where did I put my winner? I will announce that afterwards in the email, I think. Okay. Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Sanjeev. Thanks, Libby. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, LD and Joanne, Chantal, Rowan, Stacy, Deborah, Annette, Jenny, Amit. So good. Thanks, everybody, for sharing. Now, you guys are hanging around because either you're distracted or you want to talk to me. So I'm going to stop the recording. And if you want to chat, we can.